What's up, everybody? It is your boy Lawami Richardson with another episode of Let's Talk About It. How are y'all feeling? How y'all doing? Listen, I don't know about y'all, but for me, I just want to express a moment of gratitude. Just take a second to really appreciate life for what it is. If you're anything like me, I'm super hard on myself, and I realize that I don't give myself enough credit. I don't celebrate the small victories and the wins in my life because I'm always looking at the big picture, right? And the big picture has certain things that needs to be achieved and accomplished, but before I can get to that goal, I need to celebrate the small steps that is allowing me to reach that goal as I'm learning about myself and growing. There are some things that I realize that I need to really hyper focus on. And so, one of the things that I'm learning about myself as I'm self reflecting, journaling, and going to therapy is that I hyper focus on the goals that I want to achieve. And I don't give myself enough grace and enough credit for the things that I have accomplished and the things that I am working towards. And so I just want to give myself a round of applause for finish this semester strong. I am finishing up my master's and I just finished my first year. And this semester I was able to get two A's. You know what I'm saying? Give your boy a round of applause. And so I'm super happy. I understand that my goal is to graduate with a degree in urban studies and community leadership. But before I can get there, I need to celebrate the small steps that I'm accomplishing. I realize that I have to give myself credit and celebrate the small victories that's leading me to my bigger goal. And so I just want to encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to celebrate the small victories. We sometimes want the big thing and we want to, accomplish so much, and we get frustrated and disappointed, and we discourage ourselves, and that negative self-talk really gets into our heads, and we feel like we're not doing enough when in reality we're doing just fine. And so results doesn't come overnight. Nobody ever plants a seed and seeds fruits immediately. We have to be patient. We have to believe that the work that we're putting in and we're chipping away will ultimately lead to the thing that we place in our hearts to achieve and to accomplish. And so, before we dive into our topic today, we're going to actually talk about purpose. And this podcast kind of stemmed from a conversation that I had with a good friend of mine, a client of mine. As you guys know, I'm a life coach and I really help people try to find their purpose and their identity. And that's just been a fulfilling aspect of my job and by part of my ministry is to really help not only youth and inner city youth and college students, but adults as well, which is kind of crazy because a few years ago, as you guys may not know, for those who are new to this podcast, I wrote a book, and the book was entitled "I Am is Greater Than I Was: From Identity Lost to Purpose Found." And the purpose of the book was to kind of highlight the things and the experience of my life and the lessons that I learned in these chapters. And so I thought, man, I need to really hyper focus on kids and students in high school and college age young adults, because if we can help them understand their purpose while they're young, then they can accomplish great things. But the more that I continue to travel, the more that I talk to people, the more that I counsel with folks, I realize that there's a lot of people who really don't know what their purpose is. There's just a bunch of people just out here living. And so that really intrigued me to kind of see, okay, what does the data say? What does science have to say about purpose? And before we dive into the stats and the numbers, what is purpose? You kind of hear this word often, but the definition is, it can be easily defined as the reason or motivation behind a particular action or decision, the underlying meaning or intention that guides and directs one's life. Purpose can also refer to a sense of meaning, direction, and significance in one's life, a feeling of being connected to something greater than oneself. So that's what purpose is. Purpose is understanding that you have been created for something bigger than yourself. And so, as I mentioned, I'm not necessarily finishing my master's degree as a thing that I want to achieve and accomplish, but it's for a bigger purpose. And that is to really impact the lives of the youth in inner cities. So my master's degree is aligned with my purpose. I'm not just getting a degree for the sake of getting a degree. I want to understand how to establish community centers. I want to understand what are their needs, how can I be an asset and a help to them, and that's what really drives me to make content like this, to really focus on getting my education and writing a book and traveling and inspiring and speaking to people because I understand that there's something bigger than myself. And I realize that over the last decade or so that I'm like, man, life is not about what I can receive, but ultimately what I can give. And so one of the things I want to let people know, especially if you're kind of in this area of trying to find your meaning in life, is to say, what problems, what situations do you see that you can fix, right? How can you leave the world or your community better than what you entered into it? And so purpose is often associated with a sense of fulfillment and a satisfaction that comes from living a meaningful and intentional life. And I think sometimes we think, well, if I make this certain salary, if I have this house, if I have a family and a bunch of kids, that's just fulfillment. And in some regards, that may be true. But if that's all life is limited to, then how many people are really experiencing fulfillment? How many people are really feeling happy and have a sense of joy waking up every single morning? So I wanted to look up the numbers, and it was kind of crazy the numbers that came back to me. A survey conducted by the Harris Poll and the American Heart Association in 2017. So this is not the most recent, but it kind of gives you an idea as to this is really a problem in society, in America, and the world at large. In 2017, a survey was conducted and they found that 75% of respondents did not feel a strong sense of purpose. 75%, y'all. That means every 100 people that you come across, 75 of them are not living purposeful lives, right? And another study, Kinsley and Company in 2019, which is a little bit more recent, found that only 16% of adults surveyed reported feeling a sense of purpose in their lives. So 75% did not feel a strong sense of purpose. And then 16% in another survey reported feeling a sense of purpose. So think about that. Out of 100 people, only 15% of those 100 people actually feel like they're living a meaningful and purposeful life. And then 75% of those people don't feel like they're living with a sense of purpose. And that's kind of discouraging, y'all. I don't know if you guys feel the sense of purpose. And I realize, like, for myself, I've gone through a heck of a journey. I've really gone through a lot of things in my life, and I question God. I question as to why these things are happening, why these things are transpiring. But I realize that with purpose comes passion, and passion equates to pain. But pain needs to be endured in order for you to receive the joy at the end of it. Shout out to my one of my good friends who put me back on a fitness program, and I'm going back to the gym. I kind of fell off the last few months because I've been trying to hyper focus on accomplishing certain projects, and I did not prioritize my health the way that I should. But I said, you know what? If I don't take care of me, nobody's going to take care of me. So I decided to go back to the gym. My boy gave me a few workout tips as to what to do, kind of set up a plan for me. And so I realized, like, man, I'm going to the gym and I don't like going to the gym. Like 90% of the battle is me actually driving to the gym. But once I'm there and I lift weights, the weights are not the most exciting thing in the world. But I realize that I'm enduring this pain to get a result. And when I lose weight and when I feel more healthy, when I'm sleeping better, when I'm releasing the tension that I've had throughout the day through exercising, I realize that the pain is designed for a reason. So purpose, passion, all of those things are kind of lumped in together. And so there's so many people who are kind of enduring the difficulties of life, but not experiencing joy at the end. They're clocking in, clocking out, they're coming home, and they're buying things to try to fill this void. They're trying to, they're jumping from people are jumping from relationship to relationship, trying to find the one. And I'm realizing that there's a lot of people who don't have a sense of purpose. Listen, so you guys know I'm an academic advisor for an HBCU, and it's amazing to see so many students who come into my office who I counsel and mentor that they don't even know why they're in college, right? Well, once I get my degree, I'm going to go get a job and I'm going to make X amount of money. Cool, if that's what you want to do. But what if you don't get the job? What if you don't make the salary that you're desiring? Then what? Is the 4 years that you're here at a college and a university, is the 4 years that you're here unsuccessful? What is your purpose, right? That's what I want to talk to you guys about today. So I'm going to give you 4 pointers as to how you can find your purpose, right? As you reflect on your life, as you kind of analyze, am I really happy? Am I living of a life that is meaningful? I want you to think about some of your passions, some of your interests. What are the things that excite you? What are some of the things that causes you to that makes you feel alive? I've talked to people who who get lost in art and painting. I have a friend of mine who loves flowers and loves designs, and I got a friend of mine who loves photography. They can get lost in the arts, and as I talk to these individuals, I realize that there's a passion, there's a liveliness that comes to them as they talk about their interests and their passions. And so if you don't really know what your passions or interests are, then what activities do you enjoy doing on your spare time? How do you take care of yourself, outside of work, outside of taking care of the family, outside of school? What are some activities you enjoy doing on your spare time? You may be an athlete. Do you like playing baseball? You like playing basketball? Do you like weight training? Those are passions, those are interests, those are things that you may enjoy. And you may be asking yourself, okay, well, this is something that I do, but is this something that you're doing on your spare time? Is this something that when you have conversation with family and friends and coworkers and colleagues, that they see this passion of yours? It's like, man, you're very knowledgeable in this area, right? It seems like there's a different side of you that comes to life when you talk about this particular topic. So again, what topics do you find yourself constantly reading about or talking to others about? It could be sports, it could be golf, it could be cooking, it could be anything that you have a passion about, that you have interest about. And if you don't know, your For You page will tell you on your TikTok and Instagram account, right? What do you constantly search? What do you enjoy watching? What makes you come to life? Once you can kind of pinpoint those passions and those interests as you reflect about the things that you enjoy talking about, then you can kind of pinpoint kind of the strengths that you have, the interests that you have. And then we're going to tie this in how you can take your interests and your passions and live a purposeful and meaningful life. You're going to find out how you can take something that you feel might be insignificant, but it can really impact the lives of the people you come in contact with. So, your passions and interests can provide clues about what you are meant to do in life. Some people are, I've met some amazing people who can just take these very complex ideas and make it so practical and real. They have a gift of teaching. I've seen people who has just a passion for cooking and making simple foods taste amazing. One of the things that I notice is that I don't think barbers fully understand the impact that they have on their clients. For those who know, Black people especially, we love going to the barbershop and talking about life, about sports, about politics, about we just love debating. It's our self-care day, right? And so this is why I go to the barbershop. I'm very intentional to go to the barbershop every 2 weeks, not only to get my hair cut, but just to chop it up and have conversations. But it's a crazy to see how I can walk in that barbershop with less confidence and walk out feeling much better about myself simply because I had a haircut. I love the barbers, especially that take the time to look at my hair not as something that needs to be get done, but they look at it as a piece of art. And I walk in there feeling unconfident and I'm walking out like I can accomplish the world. Those are things, those are interests, those are passions, those are clues that can help you to understand what you are meant to do in life. Then the second thing, and I don't think we place enough thought in this point. You want to identify your values. What are some values? Your values are the principles and beliefs that guide your life. They help you make decisions, set goals, and prioritize your time and your energy. So for me, my values come from a Christian faith, what it means to be caring, what it means to be hopeful, what it means to be kind, what it means to serve. Those are the values that I ingrain myself. Try to establish integrity, to be honest about the things that I'm going through, right? These are the values that I've kind of guided my life around. And so I want you to take the time to ask yourself, what are some of my values? What are my core principles that that formulate the way that I think and the way that I move? Because once you understand your values, once you understand the principles, once you understand your belief systems, then it's easier to say, okay, whatever options that may be out there, I'm not just going to jump on any decision because they have to align with the values and the principles and the beliefs that I have. You may not be Christian, you may not even be spiritual, religious at all, but there are some values and beliefs that guides your life, that guides your decision making, that guides the way that you think and you operate. The third thing that I want to share with you guys, especially for struggling with trying to find your purpose, is consider your strengths and skills. One of the things that I realize about myself, I'm a visionary. I love seeing the big picture, but I struggle with organization. Not saying that I'm not organized, but I hate details. Like the details boggle me down, right? I hate Excel sheets. I hate, putting the numbers and making sure that everything is aligned. That's not a strength of mine. It takes a lot of energy for me to do. I had to do it because as a part of my job, as a part of my, business that I conduct as a speaker. But I realized, you know what? If I can align myself with the things that brings me alive, right? Which is speaking, which is creating content, which is, utilizing my creative skills to make something out of nothing. That is a strength of mine. That is a skill that I possess. I have an ability to be able to articulate complex thoughts and communicate it in a very practical and real way. I'm not the most eloquent speaker, but I compensate that with the passion with that I speak of. When you hear me, you see me. You're going to feel what I'm saying. You're going to hear the tone of my voice. You're going to understand where I am coming from. These are the strengths. These are the skills that I have. I love the ability to write, but I hate editing. So why would I focus my time and energy trying to learn how to edit when I have people who love details? They love doing Excel sheets. They love editing. They love, being meticulous and making sure that all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted, right? So I realized that these are their strengths, these are their skills. And it's the things that drains me when I give it to them and ask them for their help in, helping me with a project or whatever it may be. They come to life. Oh, I love Excel sheets. I love color coding. Yes, yes, yes. Give me the sticky notes. Give me what is it? And I'm like, okay, clearly this is a strength of yours. Clearly this is something that you're passionate about. Clearly this is a skill set. But it's amazing because somebody who loves to be organized, somebody who loves Excel sheets, somebody who has a type A personality, who loves this type of things, you may think it's insignificant, it's not making an impact to the world, but think about this, right? You don't always have to be front and center to make an impact. Understand that your organization skills, your ability to take and enjoy the small details and making sure that everything runs smoothly is a blessing to the person that you may be working for. My friend who's helping me with a project, who skill set and strength is Excel sheets and organization, I realized, like, listen, this is what makes you come to life, and you're helping me tremendously, and we sync well together. So I don't want you to ever consider, well, it's just organization skills, it's just Excel sheets. No, this can actually help people get an impact in the world. So your strengths and your skills are the things that you are naturally good at, the things that you enjoy doing. So what are you good at? What are you naturally good at? What do you enjoy doing? And if you don't know, your friends and your family, your coworkers will tell you what your strengths are. I realize my limitations, but I understand my strength. And I understand from the great athletes that I follow and entrepreneurs, the books that I read and everything, that people understand their strength and the weaknesses. One of the most compelling interviews that I heard was from Oprah. Like, listen, she said, I'm a communicator. I don't know how to run TVs. I don't know how to run cameras. I don't know how to do any of these things, but I put a team around me that will help me and utilize their strengths to help me be able to really exemplify and focus on my strength and not highlight my weaknesses. And I thought that was beautiful. I'm kind of paraphrasing. It wasn't the direct quote, but Oprah said that. She's like, listen, my gift is communication. My gift isn't cameras, editing, or video, or any of those things. And so it's so important to understand the strength and the skills that you possess that naturally come good to you and the things that you enjoy. So these are the ways that can help you and guide you to find your purpose. Number four, last point that I want to make is to really find ways to serve others. The content that I gravitate to, I notice, is the content that serves people, that provides value, that serves others. Because we live in a very selfish world. We live in a very selfish and self centered society. One of the main reasons why people are not living their life of purpose and meaning is because they're so focused about themselves that they're not thinking about how they can serve others. Those are four ways that can start helping you understand how you can find your purpose. But I'm going to kind of transition now and explain the seven reasons why you aren't living a purposeful life. Now, the reason why I can address these seven things is because at some point I experienced all these seven things. And if any of these things are not intentionally focused on, then it puts me in a state in which I'm in fight or flight and I'm in survival mode. Number one, the lack of purpose or direction, right? I kind of address the first part of how you can find your purpose, what you have been created to be. And people may feel unfulfilled if they don't have a clear sense of what they want to do with their lives, or if they feel like they're not making progress towards their goals. That's key number one. So before you can start focusing on the 7 reasons why you're not living a purposeful life, you have to first identify what you have been created to be. What have you been placed on this earth to do? What problems have you been brought into this world to solve? The second point, it's having an unsatisfying job or career. I can't tell you how many people I have spoken to that have made good money, y'all, and they do not feel happy or fulfilled. Making triple figures at their job, buying the house that they always dreamed of, having the cars they always wanted and desired. And yet somehow, some way, the job is not fulfilling for them. Oh, I wish I can just be like you, Lo, and not have responsibilities and just travel and do all these things. I'm like, listen, my life comes with a cost, right? I'm trying to work towards the goals that you have. I'm trying to establish my kingdom. I'm trying to establish my success. But it's true. At some point in my life, I did not care about money. I didn't care about tangible things. I wanted to really live the life that I felt God was calling me to live, and that involved traveling. But you know what? As much as I traveled, as much as I was able to experience the beauty of what this world had to offer and meeting amazing people from different cultures, I was tired. I was burnt out. I didn't want to see a plane. If I stepped foot on a plane, I was dreading it. So I think sometimes we look at people's lives and we start making these comparisons, not realizing that with every beauty comes a battle, comes a struggle. And so a lot of people are just living unsatisfying jobs and careers. They're spending a significant amount of time doing something that doesn't bring them meaning or joy. And this can contribute to a feeling of unfulfillment. Now, I understand we're living in an economy where it's just not easy for you to up and quit a job, especially if you're making good money, especially if people are dependent on you. One of my friends who works a good career, he loves sports. And so on his spare time, he likes to do little videos on sport content. That's what makes him come alive. Am I saying, yeah, he should quit his job and pursue a career in sports broadcasting? No, that's not what I'm saying. But he finds ways to try to find what helps him come to life as he's working and trying to figure out how he's going to make this career change. So don't just simply quit your job, but find ways on how you can really live your purpose and how you can explore the things that you enjoy doing, your interests and things of that sort. So, number one, not living a purposeful and meaningful life that contributes to unhappiness and unfulfillment. The second is having an unsatisfying job or career. Another thing that I've noticed that people experience, and this happened to me. Listen, I worked a job that I dreaded going to. I realized there was a point in my life when everything was kind of shifting that I was asking, okay, what have I been placed on this earth to do? And it wasn't until the last 10 years that I really understand what I've been created to be and what problems I came to solve. But when I wasn't living my life of purpose and meaning, I noticed that I disassociated myself and I isolated myself. And the pandemic really highlighted this, in which a lot of people went into deep depression. A lot of people did not know how to be quarantined and not be around folks, because at the end of the day, humans are social creatures and we are meant to connect with folks. And the feeling of disconnected form others can lead to a sense of emptiness and lack of purpose. It kind of goes back when you're kind of self-absorbed, when you're kind of worrying about what I need to achieve, what goals I need to accomplish, and you don't have a community around you. It's nothing worse than having all the success in the world and being alone to enjoy it. Don't focus on the things that you want to achieve, that you're isolating and disassociating yourself from the people who really are rooting for you, for the people who love you and appreciate you and value you. If you find yourself kind of disconnected from folks and isolated, this may be contributing as to why you're not living a purposeful and meaningful life. Also, financial difficulties. Okay, listen, I can write a whole book on this. The life that I chose, the path that I decided to create for myself, did not involve extravagant money. Often people say, well, the money is the root of all evil. No, 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 no. The love of money is the root of all evil. Money is necessary. Money is needed to be able to put a roof over your head, food in your mouth, clothes on your back, to be able to buy things that you need in order for you to enjoy the things that life has to offer. And so when you're struggling financially, listen, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, some people are living paycheck to hope. I coined that term about a month ago. I'm like, man, some people ain't living paycheck to paycheck. They are living paycheck to hope. When they're struggling to make ends meet, it can be very stressful, and it prevents people from pursuing activities or experiences that will bring them joy. Because at the end of the day, how can I go to the beach and relax when I don't know how my rent's going to be paid at the end of the month? How can I go and take a 3-day vacation when I got to buy my baby food, for this week? So financial difficulties will cause you to be in a survival mode that won't allow you to really explore your passions. Listen, I'm being very honest and transparent with you. There was a rough patch where all of my savings was depleted because I could not find work for almost a year. And it was very hard for me to do content. It was very hard for me to go and do the things that I enjoy doing because I was struggling with trying to find money to survive. So if you're finding yourself financial difficulty, listen, you don't have to go all in on your passion right now. You have to find a way to stabilize and make sure that you're making consistent income so the things that you need to live are taken care of. So I get it because I've been there and I'm kind of working myself through this situation where it's not where I want to be. And I realize, you know what? I can do both. I've learned how to kind of balance it. I don't need to go all in on one and not tap into the things that I enjoy doing. And so I want to shout out Anthony O'Neill. He's one of the guys that I follow, and he's been hyper focusing on branding. He understands the financial difficulties that most of his followers go through. And so for me, being in the place that I'm at, I want to achieve certain things in my life. And I don't have to remove those two things. I don't have to remove my financial difficulties and disconnected from my purpose. But for those who may be struggling financially, listen, take care of your basic needs before you can start exploring the things that bring you joy. This is one of the main reasons why I think people have not tapped in to exploring what brings them to life because they're in survival mode. The 76% of people are not living meaningful and purposeful lives because they're in survival mode because they have financial difficulties. Another is health issues. And I can't tell you how many people I have met who are chronically ill, who are chronically sick, young people at that, whether it be mental health, whether it be chronic, these illness can limit a person's ability to engage in activities they enjoy because how can you have a sense of fulfillment when you're constantly having health issues? If you love exploring and hiking and seeing beauty, how can you do that when you're in constant pain? How can you enjoy the pleasure of life when you're constantly going to and fro from the hospital? And so some of this may be self-inflicted. I know a lot of people who are not eating right, they're not drinking enough water, they're not getting proper sleep, they're not exercising. This is why I mentioned in the beginning of my podcast, it is so important for me to focus on myself and my health, going to the doctor regularly, making sure that I'm drinking enough water, making sure that I'm eating clean, exercising, getting proper sleep. I'm even learning how to use that feature on my phone where it says do not disturb, and I do not take any calls or anything because I just need to decompress and get away from the world. So a lot of this is self-induced, but there are people who are legitimately have chronic health issues, and this can be a major contributor to why you can enjoy living a purposeful life because health and the illness that you're experiencing. If you guys know me, you guys know that I'm big on mental health and I'm understanding how trauma really shape our way of thinking and the way that we operate and make decisions in life. Just recently read a book, two books actually. Your Body Keeps Score is the first one, and the second one, It Didn't Start With You, how family trauma really formulates how it contributes to not only our health but our decision making, regardless of the things that we choose not to because of our past trauma. So listen, traumatic events or negative experiences in the past can actually shape a person's worldview, and it limits their ability to feel fulfilled in the present. So, because we have not dealt with the things in the past, is why we can't live in the present. We're still wrestling with the things that mom did to me, dad did to me, what my sister did to me. We carry these burdens And because we have not learned how to forgive, because we have not learned how to let go, because we're not intentively going to therapy and working through these issues, is why we're not able and capable of living a meaningful and purposeful life. Also, I can't tell you how many people have not taken the time to learn about themselves and to grow and mature mentally, spiritually, as well as physically. Once you are aware that there are certain things in your life that you need to grow from, you need to take accountability of those things. If you don't know better, then you're not going to make better decisions. But I've seen so many individuals in my experience and friends and coworkers of them experiencing triggers, and they never ask themselves, why am I triggered? Why am I feeling agitated? Why am I angry all the time? Why am I not sleeping well? They do not take the time to self-reflect and to really understand what makes them feel the way that they feel. If you guys are looking at the screen, I missed the P, but people may feel unfulfilled and they feel stuck in a rut or like they're not growing and developing as individuals. It is so important that we take the time for character development. We have to know ourselves better than anybody, but we focus so much attention and time on trying to fix everybody else that we do not take the time to fix ourselves. And so many people cannot live a life that is meaningful and purposeful because there's a lack of personal growth. There are full grown adults that still have the emotional intelligence of a 5-year old. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. There are many people who are functioning who know they should be doing better, but they will, well, it's the way that I was brought up. Well, it's the culture. Well, it's the government. It's everybody else except themselves. And so if we're not taking the time to personally grow, we're never going to live a purposeful and meaningful life. Listen, one thing that I can testify and one thing that I can say without a shadow of a doubt, every experience, whether it be a self-afflicted or I didn't ask for, has been a moment for me to grow and to understand how I'm wired and why I do the things that I do. And the more that I learn about myself, the better I'm able to serve people. Listen, as I'm on my journey of healing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I can see brokenness so much easier now than I've ever had in my entire life. I have countless people who I counsel who sit on my couch who are telling me their problems, and immediately I can say, I know exactly what you're going through because I've been there. And I guarantee you, this is the way that you're thinking, and this is the way that you're responding, and this is the way that you're self sabotaging. And they're like, like a deer caught in the headlights, like, yo, you're right. How do you know? Because I've been there. And I'm going to tell you how I grew from that mentality, how I grew from not casting the blame on everybody, but learning how I can grow from this situation. And so we have to take the time to grow, personally grow. If these areas of your life are lacking, is probably the reason why you're not living a meaningful and purposeful life. And I want to encourage every single person who is watching, who is listening, give yourself grace. Don't get so overwhelmed with what you feel you need to have, but take the time to really sit back and ask yourself, what do I want out of life? What is it that I really desire? And if your thoughts are simply about, well, I want it, and I want to receive it, I'm going to, if everything is about me, then you're never going to live a life of joy and happiness and fulfillment. Understand what your passions are, understand what your interests are, understand what some of your hobbies, what makes you come to life. So even if you're struggling with living a meaningful and purposeful life, listen, if you have a lack of direction, if you're not personally growing, if you're struggling financially, if you're struggling with your health, I want you to focus on those areas, so that way those areas, once healed and completed, you can now focus on the things that make you come to life. But there's no way that you can live life to the fullest when you're in constant survival mode. So if you have health issues, go check on your health. Make sure that you're intentional in attacking that. If you're realizing that you're not developing as a person and growing as a person, I tell people every year on my birthday, I want to make sure that I am a better version of myself mentally, emotionally, and physically than I was the year prior. If I'm still having the same thought process, if I'm still acting as a victim, if I'm still not holding myself accountable to certain things, then am I really growing? So I really want to leave you guys as we conclude today's podcast. If you guys need help with finding purpose, like hit me up. I'm gonna put in the link this below if you guys are watching on YouTube, and it's gonna be in the description as well on the podcast. I'm putting a course together to really help people find their purpose, to really help them find their calling and what makes them come to life. And it doesn't matter if you're 17, it doesn't matter if you're 75. We've all been created for something more. And it's not just going to work, taking care of the family, going to sleep, rinse and repeat. We have been created for something greater than ourselves. We have been called to be world changers, to make an impact in the communities and the lives of the people that God has placed us in our lives. I really feel responsible that if I don't live the life that I always desired, my biggest goal is that if I ever die, if my time here on earth comes to an end, I want my funeral to be highlighted of the impact I was able to make in people's lives. Not the money that I was able to give, though that's one of my goals. I want to be able to give scholarships to inner city kids who want to start their business or go to school, etc. But even if I couldn't give anything monetarily, I want to make an impact in their lives emotionally, spiritually, just being a friend, a mentor, somebody who cares for them. That's what drives me. That's why I'm willing to go through the tough difficulties of life because it's what makes me come alive. Man, just to see people come in with their brokenness and being able to help them and navigate their way of thinking, to see people entrust me with their deep, dark secrets, man, that brings me life, y'all. To see inner city youth who don't have positive male figures entrust me with their lives and their thoughts and their goals and their dreams, it's humbling. And I don't take that lightly. And regardless of the things that I wish I had and the things that I'm working towards, if you remove all those things, I'm still content and happy because I know I'm impacting lives. That's what I want for you. So, again, I just want to say thank you so much, guys, for checking out this episode of Let's Talk About It as we discuss purpose. My desire is that everyone who is watching, who's listening, will find meaning in their lives and that they can make an impact with the people they come in contact with. Until next time, peace.